Hi there. Welcome to Education Cafe Canada. My name is Shari and I'm a retired special education specialist and guidance counselor. Today at the cafe we're going to talk about easing into retirement. So if you are retired, you're thinking of retiring, or you're just wondering why this is harder than you thought it would be, then this is going to be the video for you. When I was first retiring, I thought I would have it all figured out. I mean, who doesn't enjoy a vacation? And this would go on forever. I could sleep in as late as I wanted to. There was no alarm telling me I had to get up, and I'd have the freedom to do anything I wanted every day. And you know what? After about 6 months of that, it became hard. If I didn't have anything planned, I wondered, should I even get up? And at that point, my guidance counselor background really kicked in because I knew that that could become a slippery slope to depression. And then I read Warren Buffett's saying, when work disappears without something to replace its meaning, retirement can feel empty. And this is what I want to talk about. So taking this in mind, I decided I better find some meaning during my retirement. I couldn't really travel because my husband is still working, so I thought I would do something artistic. Something with yarn, because I would wander through those yarn aisles at Michael's and see all the pretty colors, and I would grab one of this and two of those, and only later realized, of course, that one or two were never enough to really do a really good project. But that didn't deter me. I took up knitting, I was trying to do different stitches, and so I made scarves. I tried all kinds of different stitches. All of my friends would receive scarves for Christmas or Hanukkah, rustic scarves as my husband referred to them because I wasn't that great a knitter, nor am I. And as you can see, I am a proud member of Ravenclaw. But as it would happen, my yarn collection, which is still plentiful, has outdone my talents and my interests. So realizing I had to find something else that I could do, I looked to my local library, because libraries are a wonderful resource. And if you look, you can take online courses. So I decided I would work on language skills. I started with Spanish and realized that I wasn't very good at that. So then I opted to move on to French, which I sort of had some background in because, of course, I'm a Canadian and we study it at school. But my French isn't that great, and other things began to take over my time. Because lo and behold, before my husband could do an intervention, I was called by my previous employer out here in Nova Scotia, and they offered me a position on a casual basis at our local community college. And from there, I became a long-term temporary person, which I continue to do now. It was still kind of part of what I call retirement 1.0, because I have no idea how long that position is going to last. It is only temporary. And I wanted to take some time to figure out what it was I wanted the next chapter of my life to look like. I mean, I had moved out to beautiful Nova Scotia, and who wouldn't want to be able to look out over water while, when they wake up, drinking their morning coffee or tea and so on. But I knew that, there's only so much of that you can actually do. So I took more online courses. I started with baking because my baking, although a little bit better than my knitting, wasn't spectacular. I'm not going to say it's spectacular now, but it's certainly a lot better than it was. And again, wonderful online courses. These ones were not through my library, however. And in fact, I actually decided that I would audition for the Great Canadian Baking Show. Now, when you live out in the Maritimes, of course, there's not as much competition for these things, and they always want somebody from out east. So we just really had to show up. We didn't have to go through the same huge vetting process, excuse me, that they do in Toronto or in Ontario. So I showed up with something called rock buns. This is like a 1932 recipe from the north of England, And I chose to bring rock buns because, first of all, I had seen a clip on YouTube of somebody who had auditioned really early on, and she had brought scones. So I figured, okay, this is kind of comparable. And I did not realize that the competition had become a lot stiffer after that. So I figured my historic recipe might make up for the fact that I really wasn't very good at decorating cakes or doing any piping or anything of that nature. So you can imagine I was standing there in line. The person behind me had a cake that had been fashioned into a camper, complete with a pure chocolate glowing fire pit. So a little bit out of my league, but it was fun. And I actually auditioned 2 years in a row, and I had a great time at both of them. It had never been my expectation I would get on, but I like to grab opportunities that come my way, so why not? In addition to baking, I took some courses on chocolatiering. I haven't finished any of these certificates, just in case you're wondering, a typical ADHD person. And I took one course on cake decorating because after the rock bun fiasco, I knew I had to up my game. So I wanted to take a step back and consider why it was I was having such a hard time with retirement. I mean, I loved going away on vacations. It wasn't as though I was a workaholic and had to work all the time. So why was I having such a problem? And it started to dawn on me, like from the time you're very small, we are a very career-focused people. I mean, when you're little, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, do you want to be a teacher? Do you want to be a lawyer, a doctor, firefighter, what have you? From a very young age, we are, training kids to think about what their future career is going to be. And then as you get older and you develop interest, you start to take courses in school that will hopefully lead you towards this career of choice. And I mean, many of us, when we graduate, don't even know what we want to do. I certainly had what I call a very checkered career path, and I still say I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. But, we really focus. I mean, you think when somebody new moves into your neighborhood, onto your street, or into your condo or apartment building, you start to think, well, what is the first thing you learn about them? Oh, he's an accountant, or, she's a stay-at-home mom, or, they're a social worker. You really tend to focus on what somebody's career is. And that just feeds into this whole, we're really, really, really pressured and focused on where we're going to be for all of those years of our lives. But we don't focus on what you're going to do after you retire and after you decide that career is over. And then, you think about it, you are more than your job title. You're more than a bank teller, you're more than an administrator, you're more than a vice principal. You have many facets to your personality. And even within your job, there are many skills that you have, some of which you love doing and some of which you don't love quite as much. So start thinking when you're looking to retire, is there something I can do with the skill set that I enjoy using? Perhaps you want to volunteer somewhere. One of the things that I did was put my name forward for government agencies. So I have been part of the Nova Scotia Film Board. I have been part of one of our post-secondary arts schools. And those are aspects of my personality and of my skill set that I really enjoy using, but I wasn't using specifically as a special education teacher and as a guidance counselor. There are many things that you can be doing with your time, things that you find meaningful, whether it is working or volunteering with a nonprofit. If you want to add a little bit to your pension every month, maybe you want to take a part-time job using the skill set, for a charity that you believe in, whether it's medical, whether it's an arts, or any other area. Maybe you want to do some dog walking with your local humane society, get you out, get some fresh air, and you can choose how often you are involved, whether it's weekly, whether it's monthly, or every couple of weeks, or what have you. There are a lot of different things that you can be doing, and this is also increasing your circle of friends, because we have to keep working on that And, I will be discussing that again in a future video. So, hey, give us a thumbs up here and subscribe. That way you won't miss it. And the real takeaway is that you can't expect meaning to just appear in your life once you're retired. I mean, you may want to spend time with the grandkids, and that could possibly bring you a lot of joy and meaning to your life. But you have to plan that. You have to arrange that. And anything else that you choose to do, whether it's meeting up with friends, whether it's taking a course or volunteering somewhere or taking on a part-time job. These all can add meaning to what you're doing. They can give you a purpose for getting out of bed in the morning and going somewhere. So what I have learned while I'm preparing for Retirement 2.0 is that I have to find the meaning. I have to come up with a plan as to what I want to do, or what my husband and I will do once he retires, so that we can continue having meaningful experiences. Because retirement isn't an ending, it's just a redesign. You're on to the next adventure. And where do you want that adventure to take you? What do you want it to look like? You are in control of this, not your old employer or the university you went to or what have you. You are now totally at the helm, totally in control of where you want your retirement to go, what you want it to look like, how you want to spend it. And that actually takes some thought. That's something that you have to sit down and actually plan. It just doesn't fall into place. And I think that was the biggest surprise for me when I first retired. It was that I actually, had to do more. Well, once I got over that sleeping in and doing nothing or doing whatever in a day, I actually had to stop and think what I want this to look like the next 20, hopefully, or so years of my life. And I hope that's a big takeaway for you, and yet you've liked some of the suggestions that I have mentioned here. And please consider giving the video a thumbs up. It really helps a lot. And hopefully we will see you next time. Have a magical day.